so quickly. Sometimes how weather can shift. So let me share. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we're going to chat a little bit about our UFC Fight Night coming up. Let me get that going here. All right, and last, let me get it up. I'm just trying, let's see, start. Let's make sure we're live. Do a quick check. All right, looks good. Awesome. So, hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fred Endy. I'm one of the co-founders of Spredict. And Spredict was created to be a new type of predictive gaming experience. I've been a fan of gaming, sports, predictive experiences for as long as I can remember. And along with my good friend Max, we are leading the work of Spredict. Max out in France, me in New York. And Spredict is different for a couple reasons. First, it's designed to be built around innovative gaming structures. And as you'll see when we go through and talk about our picks for UFC Fight Night tonight, you'll see how we've built in an example of just such an innovation. What we've also done is we've built Spredict around the idea of a subscription service, right? So instead of making predictions just on events, one event to the next, we build our experiences around a monthly prediction structure, which we call the Spredict Pass. And then thirdly, our goal is to be able to create truly rich, bespoke opportunities for you if you're a lounge owner, a community leader, a project dev, to give you the opportunity to integrate Spredict's pools and designs into the work that you do on behalf of your communities. So a innovative structure, a great gaming experience, and a community-focused opportunity. And so that's how we're built and how we're designed. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the UFC Fight Night card for tonight in Rio de Janeiro. We'll run through those fights. I'll share my thinking. I'll make my picks. Last 2 weeks, I've had a decent end result. I'll take those picks. I put them into a 4-leg parlay, and we see if we win. So the last few weeks, I've been 3 for 4. And I've had a couple really nice wins on my parlay. I think I'm up $400. Again, not a tremendous amount of money, but all of my parlays are only $10. And so I've been able to chain a couple good wins in earlier this year, which have set me up for some fun, no expense parlay play. So we'll put that out. I'll share that with you. And yeah, hope that you use our portal to make your picks and have some fun, all for free at the moment. Enjoying a nice tea. All right. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to visit our DApp. So there it is, dap.spredict.io. Going to go there, and I'm going to pull up our DApp so we can play along. All right, here we go. Awesome. All right, so now you're looking at the Spredict DApp. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my wallet. You'll see up at the top, there's a couple different elements. Right now we're in the Play tab. Over to the left of that is our DeFi tab. That's where once live, you'd be able to go and monitor all aspects of your Spredict investment elements, whether it be staking rewards, details on tokens you hold, revenue share, winnings, etc. And then over to the right, there's a Getting Started button, which will bring up a menu to talk a little bit about how to utilize this Spredict app. I'm going to connect my wallet. Brings up a dialog box. Our DApp is hosted currently on Spredict testnet, rather Abstract testnet. So I'm going to connect my Abstract global wallet. I'll be prompted to approve, which I have. And now you can see I'm connected. So let me take a look at the layout and structure of the DApp real quick. On the left-hand side, you'll see our games and the different elements of Spredict as it's being built. We're currently in our MMA tab. We're going to be playing the game called Face Off. We're building a game called Tap Out, which is focused on finishing moves, right, and how a fight finishes. Below that, Formula One elements. Max is a huge Formula One fan. And so we've built out the architecture for Formula One gaming. Crypto market cap price prediction, you'll see that there. Something that we're building. And then also a button for rewards. Our Spredict Pass, which you see down at the bottom of our screen, right? That Spredict Pass element is what you would use to subscribe to our monthly rewards gaming, right? And that would give you access to all of the games within a given sport or event category, right? And so players would be able to get their pass, play for that period of time for prizes, and then accumulate points on the leaderboard for whatever those prizes might be that given month. On the right-hand side of our DApp, you will see our socials. You'll also see the live odd breakdown for, in this case, UFC Fight Night, based on who people have selected so far from all the picks that have come in. And we'll talk a little bit about that shortly and what the stars mean. In the middle is the main game screen. You'll see that right now, have about 9 hours left to make your picks before our pools close. Okay, then you'll see the live event. That's where you make your picks. Past results, we're building out a tab that will show all of the picks you've made in the past. And then in our leaderboard, basically, that will show if you are participating with the Spredict Pass in monthly gaming, where you are score-wise and point-wise. There's some instructions on how to play each given game. For this game, Face-Off is all about picking the fighter who you believe is going to win a given fight. There's an added element to it, which we'll talk about, but to walk you through the layout, you've got each of the 4 fights we've picked to be the focal point for this week's UFC prediction pools. You'll see them listed here. And why don't we walk through them? And maybe we'll start down on the bottom with our featherweight battle. And so this week, our UFC event happens to be in Rio de Janeiro. You'll see the number of Brazilian fighters, always a high number, right? But on this card, significantly high, right? Because of location. Our featherweight fight pits Ricardo Ramos, who's 17-7 as a record of Brazil, against Khan Ofli, who's 12-4-1 of Australia. Now, Ramos is favored in this fight at 185, so he is a favorite, not an over-the-top favorite, right, but does have some backing based on odds. He's got 2 additional inches in height over Ofli and 6 additional inches in reach, right? He's got a reach of 72 inches compared to Ofli's 66. So that is pretty significant, right? I mean, I like to think when a fighter's got more than 3 or 4 inches of reach advantage, that they have some real advantages in striking, right, and controlling the fight from an upright position. Ofli has little to no ground game at this point in his career, right? Ramos is much stronger on the takedown end, right? And so that when you have a fighter who has the physical advantages to lead a fight upright, who also tends to be the stronger takedown fighter, you can see why odds might be in that person's favor. What I will say, though, Ramos has lost 3 of his last 5, most recently in March, lost to Mariscal. His last solid win was a knockout of Chavez in 2022. It's not great. He When you do watch him fight, he can hit hard. He's quite agile. His career has not been, right, so much to write home about. Khan Ofli has fought 2 fights since entering the program, right, since entering UFC, and he's lost both. He has looked really stellar in other programs he has fought in, but again, we've talked about this in the past during these streams. UFC is a very different animal, and a fighter's career pre-UFC in no way dictates their success in the program. Nothing has really stuck with him in the UFC, right? He had a loss both in 2024 and 2025. I don't see anything so far that's leading me to believe he has an incredibly long UFC career ahead of him. Both of these fighters clearly are looking for a win here, but in my opinion, Ramos brings the most physical potential and the best versatility to take this fight and continue his career. So for me, this is a win for Ramos at home. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you make those selections in our DApp, right? So you can see that you have the button option for either fighter. I'm going to click on Ramos. It's going to turn his button purple, right, representing that I've made the selection, right? And so now I'm good. Now, one thing you'll notice is like Ofli's got a star next to his name. Talked a little bit about building in some innovations in the Spredict operational structure, and one of those is the creation of our favorite feature. And so the way that works is as users make their selections for our fight pools, we take that on-chain data and we represent the most picked, in this case, fighter with a star next to their name. Now, when the pools lock, okay, that favorite gets recorded. And if you've picked the starred fighter and that fighter wins, you end up earning 1 point towards the leaderboard, right, if you're a Spredict Pass player. Let's say, though, you pick Ramos wins, and was not the favorite player. You'd earn 3 points on the leaderboard. So not only is this selecting the fighter you think is most likely to win, it's also using some elements of game theory to decide when it makes sense to make an underdog or contrarian pick and when it doesn't. And so since Spredict's foundation is built around innovative structures in gaming, it just makes good sense for us to build in these types of structures to make the experience more fun for everyone who uses. So let's move on to our heavyweight fight. I love when heavyweight fights are included in cards. These guys hit so hard. And often I find heavyweights are exciting from the hits and the strikes, right? And sometimes kind of fun if they end up, if the fighters have enough stamina to move through a round or two. But also love the KOs, right? Love seeing the energy and strength they put into their They're striking. So Hinata Dinas, right, 9-1 and 0 of Brazil, is matching up against Mario Pinto, right, who's 10 and 0 of Portugal. Now, height and reach for these two basically the same. Denise has Pinto by 8 pounds, right, and that can sometimes make a difference in heavyweight battles. Denise is 254 pounds, Pinto 246. Denise is also 7 years older. He's 34. Pinto is 27. Pinto is an incredibly strong striker, right? His accuracy tops out over 70%, which is fantastic. Neither fighter has much of a ground game at all, not always uncommon with heavyweight fighters. There is basically no line. It's kind of gone back and forth between like 115, 120, and then being even. There's no consistent view on who is going to win this fight, and I love those types of battles, particularly in heavyweight division fights. You really don't know which way they're going to go. Even Vegas doesn't. So this one thing that is really interesting to note, Denise has one loss, but hasn't been a traditional loss. It was a doctor stoppage after his face was cut up really badly in 2024. In fact, that call was made, and Hinata was so angry, right, that the doctor stopped the fight. I thought he was going to go after the doctor, to be honest. His last fight in June was a unanimous decision. He looked great in his fight against Hines, right? Pinto has had one UFC fight to his name so far, compared to four for Denise. Pinto KO'd Lane, who was also KO'd by Denise, right? His knockout of Lane, it was spectacular. Pinto, it was such a great, great knockout. A lot of times, though, I think in these cases that I, I love going with good fighters with more solid records, right? Denise is just more UFC experience, has proven his ability to win, go the distance in fights. So my pick, I'm going to go with Denise. It's tough to tell how his career will continue to evolve, but I love the potential for him to continue to get more eyes with a win and in his fight here. So I'm going to pick Denise and lock him in, right? You can see here that unlike Ramos, right, who doesn't yet have the star by his name, Denise has been selected by more of our players so far, right? And he is currently the favorite. You can see he's even favorited at 70%. So our next fight, yeah. What? No. My daughter was asking a question. So yeah, we've got a bantamweight fight now. So let's take a look at that. By the way, if you're just joining, wondering what we're looking at, how to play, etc., you can visit us at dap.spredict.io. Join, connect your wallet, make your picks, all for free at the moment. And so we've next got a bantamweight fight, which is great. Davison Figueiredo, right, who we've seen before, 24-5-1 of Brazil, facing off against Montel Jackson, 15-2 of the U.S. So Jackson really brings a lot of physical advantages to this fight. He is 5 inches taller than Figueiredo. Did you know Figueiredo is only 5'5"? Right? For some reason, I knew he was not particularly tall. I did not realize I was taller than him. I clock in at like almost 5'7", right? So that's pretty amazing. And so somewhat tied to that, right? Jackson has significant reach advantage, 7 inches, 65 inches to 68 inches, right? Sizable. He's also 4 years younger, which can sometimes make a difference. Both fighters are decent strikers. Jackson roughly double the effectiveness on takedowns and attempts as Figueiredo. Davison lost last fought in May, losing to Corey Sandhagen with an injury. He also lost to Peter Yan at the end of 2024. Figueiredo's had a really nice fight resume, right? He's really been in a lot of great fights against solid UFC fighters, so you know he's tough. Prior to that, prior to 2024, Figueiredo had a string of some solid wins and was a title holder for a time in the periods from 2020 to 2022. Right, so a great career, smart fighter, lots of versatility. He can adapt to the fight, moving in any direction, right? And he's become a UFC mainstay. He's been in the program since 2017. Jackson has been in the program since 2018, right? Not a name who, at least for me, I know as much about. Slowly moved up the ranks, recognition pathways. His fight against Figueiredo, in my opinion, can solidify him as like a bantamweight, like who's who, right? And somebody to continue to look towards. You know, again, only 17 fights to his name, right? So he's got a lot of additional potential, right? Still in his early 30s, right? So another 4 or 5 years of really solid fighting if he wants to do that. He's won his last 6 fights, Jackson, right? 3 of them KOs since 2021. He's looked fantastic. His strikes are strong. He recovers really, really well when hit. And thinking about him within the division, 75-inch reach puts him in a really good place across the bantamweights as somebody who can really flex his physical advantages. I like Figueiredo for his experience, expertise. I think he's great. I like Jackson even more, though, in this battle for the physical differences in the fight, as well as the power he brings in the punches. He's favored heavily at 320, right? I know Figueiredo's a great name. I think he's great. He's had a wonderful career. Despite that, I'm going to lock in on Jackson, right? Not as highly ranked as Figueiredo, but I think this is a fight that can go in his direction, move him up the divisional rankings, and continue to give him the visibility that he needs. So, you know, again, as we make our picks, you can see how our card is filling up. Again, if you're just joining us, dap.spredict.io has all of our information, everything that you might need in order to check us out, right, and play a part in what we're building. And so let's go to our last fight of the card, our main event. This is a lightweight division bout. We've got veteran Charles Oliveira, 35-11-0. Almost 50 fights to this fighter's name. This one tonight will be 47. It's amazing. Oliveira has been such a mainstay in UFC. And Mateusz Gamrot, right, who we've seen quite a bit of, 25-3. Great career for him. Gamrot, of course, from Poland. Height, weight, and age differences are negligible for these two. A lot of similarities. Oliveira has 3.5 more inches of reach, 74 inches to 70.5 inches for Gamrot. Both show significant or similar significant strike and takedown accuracy, though Gamrot does attempt to bring the fight to the floor much more often. So Charles is significantly stronger on the submission side than Mateusz. This fight is basically even, not a significant line to speak of. In fact, I'm just pulling up, I'm curious, I want to pull up the most recent line list. I'm curious if anything shifted since earlier this week when I was really thinking about this fight. Let me just pull it up. I'm curious about the line now. Yeah, it's negligible. It's even. And again, both great fighters in this case. Oliveira's record of late has not been as strong as in the past. Since his title fight with Makhachev in 2022, he's alternated wins and losses. Right, he lost to Topuria in June, which, by the way, like who wouldn't lose to Ilia Topuria? But we know Oliveira can fight, right? And he can fight with anyone. He can go the distance with all of them. The the true question I wonder a little bit about is can he still compete? And by the way, right, it's not any taking anything away from Oliveira, but he's fought. This will be 47 battles. He's getting up in age, and Topuria, of course, a different type of fighter, but he's not. Charles Oliveira just isn't as capable of competing as effectively as he has been in the past, in my humble opinion. He's very versatile. Just don't know if it's enough. Now, Gamrot has looked good in his last 5 fights. He's won 4 of them. Most recently, he beat Klein in May. Gamrot has not had the same level of fighting resume as Oliveira, so it's hard to determine how the two will match up. I do think this is a real toss-up. I do think that Gamrot brings some really, really solid grappling and wrestling skills that Oliveira has, but maybe not doesn't necessarily utilize as effectively. I'm going to say that those do come into play in this fight, right? And that factors into how the fight ends. Gamrot's ability, in my opinion, to take punishment, his strong grappling skills, put him, in my opinion, in a slight advantage. And so I'm going to go with him for the win this week. So let me lock in that pick. Okay. Right, so here you can see that I now have my 4 picks lined up: Gamrot, Jackson, Diniz, and Ramos. By the way, if you're just joining, right, feel free to make your picks, right, all at no cost. dap.spredict.io, lock in who you are selecting for tonight's fight night in Rio. I feel pretty good about my picks. I'm ready to go and lock in. And so once that happens, right, you'll see. So let me take off Gamrot. You'll see how the bottom banner disappears when I select on him. I get a notification. I've completed my 4 out of 4 picks. I can validate my prediction. Let me do that. I'll get a dialog box that opens up, right? It'll ask me to approve, to validate. I click that approval. Right? I get a transaction complete notification. And then if I refresh, right, I should see that my picks have been locked in. They should all turn purple. And so that means that I am set and good to go. I can no longer change my selections, right? I'm locked in. I get a little notification. Your prediction is validated. And I am good to go. I'm going to make these my 4-leg parlay for fight night. I hope you get the chance to check out our DAP, right? Again, dap.spredict.io. Make your predictions, have some fun, enjoy the fight night. And as always, great to see you. And thanks for using Spredict. Talk to you soon.